Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday evening. I hope you guys are all doing well. And we're going to carry on again, as usual, like we do every Tuesday, with one of the articles that we've been going through in the morning lesson. Now, last week we had a bit of an hour's change globally. So there was a bit of a drama and a little bit of a mix-up on my side. So sorry about that. But this is why we're starting today as per kind of like 1 hour before. Okay, so the reason for that is because when I'm starting too late, we've got the morning lesson, and after the morning lesson I'm usually not going to sleep. So it's like, for me, since 2:15 in the morning until now is one day, and then I've got to start again with the morning lesson as well. So we had to adjust the hours for that. Sorry about that. So today we're going to carry on with 52, Shamati 52. It's called The Transgression Does Not Quench a Mitzva. Obviously, this is from the morning lesson. Now, the best way to learn this is obviously from the Rav himself. But when we go through these articles, as you know, it kind of sinks in a little bit more. And we always hear the Rav saying, listen, guys, I'll probably read this article about 50 times. So it's also good for us to just go over it and see how we end up. So the more we chew the material, the more benefit we'll get from the light that reforms. And hopefully we'll begin to also get a bit more closer to the authors of the article and feel what they're actually writing to us. So as usual, if there are any questions, shoot them through. I'll try to answer them as best I can. And in the meantime, let's carry on with the article. And okay. Yep. Do we have a technical problem? Oh, sorry. What we're doing today is concerning truth and faith. My apologies. It's number 43. Okay. Shamati 43, concerning truth and faith. Okay. Hope you guys got the links. Yeah, of course, everybody has the link. Yeah, okay, great. So let's carry on reading. Shamati 43, concerning truth and faith. Truth is what one feels and sees in his eyes. This discernment is called reward and punishment, meaning that nothing can be gained without labor. It's like a person who sits in his home and does not want to do anything to provide for his sustenance. He says that since the Creator is good, that does good, and provides for all, he will certainly send him his needs, while he himself does not need to do anything. Of course, if this person behaves in this manner, he will certainly starve to death. The reason too asserts it, so it appears to the eyes, and this is indeed the truth, that he will die of starvation. But at the same time, one must believe above reason that he could obtain all his needs without any exertion and trouble because of private providence. In other words, the Creator does and will do every deed. And one does not need help, and one does not help him in anything. Rather, the Creator does everything, and one cannot add or take away. Yet, how can these two things go hand in hand, since one contradicts the other? One discernment is called what one's mind attains, meaning that without man's help, meaning that without preceding labor and exertion, nothing will be attained. This is called truth, since the Creator wanted man to feel that way. This is why this path is called the path of truth. Let it not perplex you that if these two ways are in contradiction, how is it possible that this state will be true? The answer is that the truth does not refer to the way or to the state. Rather, truth refers to the sensation that the Creator wanted him to feel like that way. This is truth. It follows that the matter of truth can be said precisely about the Creator, meaning about his will that he wants man to feel and see this way. Yet, at the same time, one must believe that even though he does not feel and does not see with his mind's eye, that the Creator can help him obtain all the profits that can be gained without any exertion. It is only with respect to private providence. The reason that one cannot attain the matter of private providence before one attains the matter of reward and punishment is that private providence is an eternal thing, and man's mind is not eternal. Hence, something eternal cannot clothe in something not eternal. Thus, once he has been awarded the reward and punishment become a kli, which is a vessel where private providence can clothe. Now we can understand the verse, O Lord, do save, O Lord, do succeed. Do save refers to reward and punishment. One must pray that the Creator will provide him with labor and exertion by which he will have reward. At the same time, he should pray for success, which is private providence, meaning that he will be rewarded with all the profits in the world without any labor or exertion. We also see this in corporeal possessions, discerned by their separation in places, meaning in two bodies, whereas in spiritual matters, everything is examined on a single body, but in two times. There are people who obtain their possessions specifically through great exertion, energy, and great wit. And at the same time, we see the opposite, that people who are not so witty, who do not have a lot of energy, and do not make great efforts, succeed and become the greatest owners of property and possessions in the world. The answer is that these corporeal things extend from their upper roots, meaning from reward and punishment, and from private providence. The only difference is that in spirituality it appears in one place, meaning in one carrier, but one by one, meaning in one person, but in two states, and in corporeality, it is in one time, but in two carriers, meaning that at the same time and in two different people. Rightio. Any questions, you can shoot them through, and in the meantime, we can go over it again and have a second read, as we do all the time. Okay. Concerning truth and faith. So we'll just go over it one by one paragraph and see how this sinks in. Truth is what one feels and sees in his eyes. This discernment is called reward and punishment, meaning that nothing can be gained without labor. It's like a person who sits in his home and does not want to do anything to provide for his sustenance. He says that since the Creator is good, that does good, and provides for all, he will certainly send him his needs while he himself does not need to do anything. Of course, if this person behaves in this manner, he will certainly starve to death. Reason 2 asserts it, so it appears to the eyes, and this is indeed the truth, that he will die of starvation. So there's actually 2 points here, right? One is how we see the world, and the other thing is how reality really is, but we don't feel it. So there are 2 perspectives, how I'm seeing it, how I'm feeling it, and from the perspective of the Creator of what he is doing. And as the And as the article also says, concerning truth and faith, right? Faith is the attribute of bestowal. Truth is what I'm feeling all the time. So in other words, I can't really live beyond what I'm feeling. I can't really go beyond what is truth for me. And this is important because if we started doing that, we'd start getting all religious, right? Start to believe in things that are not realistic because they're not according to how we operate. So let's see. But so on the one hand, I have to see everything from my perspective. I have to live life as it is. So if I don't work, if I don't do something, I'm not going to get results. This is how this world is working. On the one hand, that's how I feel. This is how we live our world. And this is how we always feel that I need to do something. I have to do something and need to do something. So that's on the one hand. But at the same time, so on the other hand, one must believe above reason that he could obtain all his needs without any exertion and trouble because of private problems. In other words, the Creator does and will do every deed, and one does not help him in anything. Rather, the Creator does everything, and one cannot add or take away. So this part of reality for us is a bit blurry, because on the other hand, we've got the Creator who is seemingly, well, according to Kabbalists, right? There's none else besides him. So the Kabbalists say, well, the Creator is doing everything, so you're not doing anything anyway. So, you know, it's a bit of a drama. But how can we bring those two things together, right? Because our work in spirituality is my perspective, how I perceive reality and how I see things. On the other hand, how the truth really is, which is from the perspective of the Creator. So what I have to do is kind of bring them to some kind of, bring those two states to some kind of equilibrium where I can actually get a grasp on both of them, how I need to or how I can operate in reality, what I can do in reality, and what the Creator does in reality. So if I don't bring them, join them, and have some kind of how shall we say, blend those things together, I can never actually also attain the truth, which is the real truth. So what do we have to do in this situation, right? We've got two states that are completely opposite. Yet how can these two things go hand in hand, since one contradicts the other? One discernment is called what one's mind attains, meaning that without man's help, meaning that without preceding labor and exertion, nothing will be attained. This is called truth, since the Creator wanted man to feel that way. This is why this path is called the path of truth. So on the one hand, there's a room in reality called exertion, something that I have to do. And this is why we feel reality. We feel reality in such a way that I have to do something. I have to act. So let's see how we're going to join these two opposite ends. Let it not perplex you that if these two ways are in contradiction, how is it possible that this state will be true? The answer is that the truth does not refer to the way or to the state. Rather, truth refers to the sensation that the Creator wanted him to feel like that way. This is truth. It follows that the matter of truth can be said precisely about the Creator, meaning about his will, that he wants man to feel and see this way. So the truth is actually how I feel, but how I feel according to how the Creator wants me to feel. Does that make sense? Okay. So what I'm feeling as truth is not also up to me, but it is according to how the Creator wants me to feel the truth. But in any case, it's always going to be from my perspective and from how I feel things. At the same time, one must believe that even though he does not feel and does not see with his mind's eye, that the Creator can help him obtain all the profits that can be gained without any exertion. It is only with respect to private providence. So on the one hand, I have to exert as much as I can, do everything in your hand to do, you should do. And then on the other hand, one must believe that even though he does not feel and does not see with his mind's eye that the Creator can help him obtain all the profits that can be gained without any exertion, it is only with respect to private providence. So it is exactly according to how I'm feeling according to private providence. And what about general providence? Let's see. The reason that one cannot attain the matter of private providence before one attains the matter of reward and punishment is that private providence is an eternal thing, and man's mind is not eternal. And something eternal cannot clothe in something not eternal. Thus, once he has been rewarded, the reward and punishment become a vessel where private providence can clothe. So until I attain this thing called private providence, which is reward and punishment, I cannot really feel what the Creator's actions upon me are. This is why our world is really confusing, also for students of Kabbalah, right? It's confusing for us too. So we're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, we're trying to do the best we can, but life cannot, bring about a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs, right? So life brings a lot of stuff to us simply because we don't understand how this reward and punishment works. We don't understand why the Creator wants us to feel in such a way so that we can advance. For us, it seems the opposite. It's like we're studying more and more. Things should be getting better, but seemingly it's not getting better. Right? And the reason we don't understand that situation is because we don't know anything about reward and punishment, meaning how cause and consequence impact me. Okay, so until I attain providence, where private providence can clothe. So unless I attain the attribute of the Creator where it clothes in me, there's no way I'm going to understand how he's operating on me. I can only go according to what? According to the advice of the Kabbalists. And why do we go with the advice of the Kabbalists? Because we have a gut feeling called the dot in the heart, right? So we study the wisdom of Kabbalah, and although we may not agree with what's going on, we've got this feeling that, yeah, you know what, this feels like the truth. This is why we're always in a dilemma. And this is why the Creator makes the person feel like this is the truth. Okay, so for us, truth becomes what we feel. But how it works and how it operates from the perspective of the Creator is always blurry and not understood simply because we're not in the same frequency as the Creator. So reward and punishment is operating on us. What does that mean? Like good and bad. Okay, so good things and bad things are operating on us until we clothe ourselves with the attribute of the Creator. Then things start to make sense a little bit. And that sense is always according to the level I'm in. And if I want to progress further, I'm going to get a bit more blurry again and have to clarify everything again. I have to clear out the fog a bit more on every new level, because otherwise we can't ascend either. So this sensation of truth is always going to be like very different at the next level. So whenever I'm attaining the next level, I'm always going to have this feeling like, whatever I had before was not the real truth. This is also like how it is in our life as well. So how we think about life when we're children is very different to how we think about life after we grow up. Okay? Because it's just not the same. When we're kids, it's all fun and games. And as we grow up, it's just like, well, this is not fun and games. Okay? Same with how we're advancing in spirituality. Why? Because the new state, on the one hand, like it says, reward and punishment. On the one hand, it's a bit more coarser, so it's a bit more dramatic, it's a bit more problematic. However, though, adding that adds a bit more wisdom to you. So if we were to stay like kids, we'd never advance. We'd be like animals. staying at a certain level and we wouldn't advance anymore. But because of reward and punishment, our life as we grow up all the time becomes a bit more challenging, a bit more difficult, a bit more up and down, a bit more, all kinds of things that we go through. This allows us to build between the good and the bad, like reward and punishment. It allows us to build the wisdom that we need in order to clothe in this attribute of bestowal in our spiritual world, in our spiritual work. All right. So on the one hand, I'm operating as best I can. On the other hand, we have this feeling that the Creator is operating. But in any case, whatever I'm feeling is the truth, and I have to compensate all the time for it. And only when I compensate for it, I can then understand reward and punishment together, the good and the bad together. And only then can I actually advance. I can't advance just on good. The good and the bad they both have to be together. Right leg, left leg. One foot at a time. Now we can understand the verse, O Lord, do save, O Lord, do succeed. So do save refers to reward and punishment. One must pray that the Creator will provide him with labor and exertion by which he will have reward. And that reward actually is what for us? Attaining the Creator, right? Attaining the Creator means attaining his attribute. So for us, a reward is actually going above the corporeal perception of reality. That's what a reward is. And what else? At the same time, he should pray for success, which is private providence, meaning that he will be rewarded with all the profits in the world without any labor or exertion. So how can it be on the one hand, I have to work, exert, do all kinds of things to advance. On the other hand, I realize that this is all in the hands of the Creator. Through the exertion, one realizes that everything is in the hands of the Creator. So if I did not exert, I would not have come to that realization. Okay, that's the critical thing. So in religions, a lot of people have blind faith, right? So the Creator will do, does, and so forth, which is true. However, though, I only come to realize that as truth after I've exerted everything. So one without the other cannot be. This is why we build spirituality. How? By our work. So I'm doing something, doing, and then I realize I'm not getting anywhere with it. And so the Creator then has to, according to my action, he has to counteract. So we've got this kicking the ball one to the other kind of game. So he does an action, I do a contra action, and then he has to do contra me. So this dialogue between us, this go back and forth, just like with children, as we raise them, allows us to develop the mind to understand what I want to do, and in order to attain what I want to do, I exert. And on the other hand, I'm not capable of doing it, so I have to get help from the Creator. This builds the relationship. Does that make sense? Otherwise, I wouldn't have a relationship with the Creator. In order for me to have this relationship between where I am and what truth is, because the Creator is known as the truth, right? Between where I am and where the Creator is, we have to go back and forth. We've got to play this game. And so we have to work, exert, then realize that this is beyond our capacity. This allows us to throw the ball to the Creator, and he now has to do something so that we can go one notch up. That's how it has to work. This is why, all my exertion, it says, I exert, but everything is done by the Creator. Yes, because I'm exerting in order to understand that I cannot change myself. So coming to that understanding is through my exertion. And now I can come to a prayer, a demand to the Creator, because now I have an understanding that I want to be different, but I can't do that myself. Does that make sense? So the exertion brings us to the truth, to the understanding of what our capacity is actually. At the same time, he should pray for success. So I can only pray once I've done the work. Otherwise, I can't pray for success. So until then, a lot of people, when they come to the wisdom of Kabbalah, they put a lot of work in, right? So when we come in, we exert a lot. We do a lot of things. We've got the lessons. We've got connection with the friends. We do all kinds of things. Why? Because we feel and believe that if I do something, I'll get it, right? Because this is how this world works in our eyes. For us, that's the truth. So as we advance and we begin to reveal the egoism inside of us, we begin to understand that that specific nature that we're in, we cannot change. Okay? That I cannot change. So then a person begins to get wiser, right? So now we begin to understand that things are going to work a little differently. Why? Because the only way to build that connection with the Creator is by me turning to Him for something specific that I want, which I cannot get by my own strength. Okay? And that builds connection. We also see this in corporeal possessions, discerned by their separation in places, meaning in two bodies, whereas in spiritual matters, everything is examined on a single body, but in two times. There are people who obtain their possessions specifically through great exertion, energy, and great wit, and at the same time, we see the opposite. The people who are not so witty, who do not have a lot of energy, and do not make great efforts, succeed and become the greatest owners of property and possessions in the world. So when we look at life, Baal HaSulam saying it doesn't make sense. Some people can end up rich, powerful, strong, with everything just like that. And we're looking at them thinking, what went wrong in our life, right? And on the other hand, there are a lot of people still make it, but they go through a lot of hardship. So it doesn't seem to make sense. It's like contradictory. Because sometimes someone could be born a prince, in some country, he's got everything, and some guy is born somewhere poor with nothing. It's like half hungry, half dead. So it's really difficult to understand why there's such a big contradiction. And second of all, how things can happen to some people without any effort. Okay, they could land on, I don't know, a $700 million lottery, and all the guys become really rich. And some of the guys dying without food and nothing. And some of the guys working 24 hours a day, maybe getting a few hours of sleep, and nothing seems to work out. So it doesn't seem to make sense, right? So why? That's the problem for all of us. The answer is that these corporeal things extend from their upper roots, meaning from reward and punishment, and from their private providence. The only difference is that in spirituality, it appears in one place, meaning in one carrier, but one by one, meaning in one person, but in two states. And in corporeality, it is in one time, but in two carriers, meaning at the same time and in two different people. So what does that mean? Well, in spirituality, everything is one and unified system. We don't feel that at the moment. If we were to feel that, we'd understand that all the states that we're going through are kind of like happening all inside of us, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, everything is happening all inside us. And that is all a part of one unified system. The problem is we don't feel that. We're not there yet. So when we're not there, we're in this divided state. So we feel like everything is like dysfunctional. We don't feel like life is fair. So we don't feel like it's fair. And how's that happening? Because I'm living the state and somebody else is living the state, and you're living a different state, he's living a different state. So it's like we're all living in this reality as separated people, going through different things. So we don't feel that we're all part of the same one body or one system that's all integral and integrated. And that's the reason why we feel this world is all, it's all upside down, right? It's upside down with a lot of problems and so forth. And so what do we have to do? What's the solution? Well, the solution is, like he said in the article, he said a person has to attain reward and punishment. A person has to understand why life is working in such a way. And how can we understand that? By attaining reward and punishment, which is attaining how the Creator is behaving with us in reality. And if we don't attain that, we're always going to be in this, in this dumbfounded manner where our life is just going to be done. It's just not going to work out. It can't work out. Also, we don't understand. This is in the last paragraph. He's explaining. Also, we don't understand how reality works. That all of us and each and every one of us are a part of one system. And we don't understand that we're a part of one system. So when we look at things, we feel that the world is unfair, and we feel that we're being treated unfair. And the reason we feel that way is because we're all feeling like individuals separate from other people. So we don't actually have any idea of how reality really works. And because we don't know how reality really works, we're in this world called a big mess. All right. Does that make sense? It's not an easy article to understand, but as we advance more and more in spirituality, what begins to happen is we begin to see everything according to the direction where the Creator wants to take us. And one of our problems is, when we're students of the wisdom of Kabbalah, is we don't actually understand how we need to measure things, and we don't understand how we should evaluate everything that's happening to us with respect to what we need to attain in life. And because we don't know how to do that, any event or anything that happens in life, it's just like, it just throws us off guard. It just catches us off guard. It knocks us out a little bit. And so we have to get back on track. Okay. And this is the main problem until we attain spirituality. And unfortunately, that's how it is. Same with us in our corporeal life, right? Until we get up on our feet and start, taking life into our own hands, because of an understanding of how life works, we're dependent on other people, like our parents and so forth. So same in spirituality. Until we begin to understand how the system exactly works and how we integrate ourselves into it, it's just a bit of a drama. But that can be overcome if we have a good environment, just like children can overcome all kinds of difficulties when they have a family environment, when they have school, family, some kind of support mechanism around them. And this is exactly what we need in spirituality as well. Otherwise we're also doomed. Okay. So let's see. Any questions? I don't know if there are any questions, but let's see what we've got. We've got Francesca, we've got Joseph asking, so private providence doesn't relate to cause and effect. Cause and effect. Look, cause and effect and private providence, everything depends on cause and effect, right? Because the whole of reality started with a reason. So the reason is the Creator wants us to get to the purpose of life. So the problem with us is, do we understand that? And are we feeling that? And we don't feel that. We don't understand that. And when we start to come to the wisdom of Kabbalah, we think everything is like, sinking in. And initially it does, because we begin to resonate with the idea and the concept. So we start to study. And as we start to study, we start going through ups and downs, right? And then as we go through ups and downs, it then begins not to make sense, because logic says if I'm doing the right thing, things should be getting better. Okay, that's what logic says. However, it's the other way around, because for us to grow up, we've got to start handling more complex situations, just like as we grow up in school. So cause and consequence is the whole mechanism, is the whole links in the whole chain, right? The whole chain reaction is cause and consequence. The question is how I'm handling the cause and consequence. So it's just not just, it's the providence of everything is cause and consequence, because everything started with the thought that the Creator wanted to create a created being and to do good to him. Seemingly sounds like a great idea until we end up in this world. Okay, so how are we going to figure out that was actually a good idea? By understanding his thought behind it, by understanding where he wants to take us, right? Because all the cause and consequence, all the little details that happen in life, or every little detail is a little push from behind, or a little bit of guidance, let's say, rather than a push, a little bit of guidance, a little bit of effort, a little bit of motivation, pushing and shoving until we get to the goal. So everything actually evolves around cause and consequence, but how are we understanding it is the real concern and the question. Francesco is asking, what is the meaning of one's mind is not eternal? Well, we don't understand the Creator's thoughts. We're stuck here, right? So every time we feel bad, we're like, well, why is that happening to me? Or why did that happen? Why? Because we don't understand where we're going. We don't understand the thought of the Creator. And remember, right, the purpose of life is to actually understand the thought of the Creator. Right? We want to understand his intentions behind all the actions, because otherwise we can't grow up. So understanding eternality means understanding the thought of the Creator. And until I get there, life's always going to be a drama. Right? Even as we grow up more and more, the higher we get in spirituality, the more dramatic it should get. In life, it's the same thing. The older we get, the more dramatic problems we have to solve. And it's just common sense that it works out that way. But what happens with that is we begin to get wiser and wiser and wiser, and we don't stay as kids. Imagine if our dad solved all our problems. We'd never grow up. Right? Imagine our dad was rich and we had all the servants and everything in the house and all in the palace and everything. Life's great. And all of a sudden, then think about you stepping out into the real world. You couldn't change a light bulb because you never did anything. You were never given an exercise to actually do something for yourself. So life is actually bringing us all kinds of challenges. The more we progress, and rightfully so, otherwise we'd never be independent. We'd never be able to take care of ourselves. So on the one hand, having everything sounds great, but even if your dad was really rich, if he was a smart dad, he'd never let you sniff it. You know? If he was smart, he wouldn't. He'd just give you what you need to make sure you can do what you need to do on your own. Otherwise you're going to be wasted, right? Same with the Creator. So it's very logical that we don't understand and so forth. So another question from Francesca. If the Creator makes me feel what he wants me to feel, then he has also all control over our emotions. Surely he does, of course. Same with our children as well, right? When they're babies, we buy their clothes, we clothe them like how we want to clothe them, right? They don't choose how they get dressed. We give them their own names, right? We put them into the environment that we feel is good for them. So what happened there? The kids growing up exactly according to how I dictated in the first place. Would we let the children run the house? Not unless you want to crash the house budget or whatever. Okay, so it's not going to work out. So everything has to work out in such a way that, think of it like really raising kids, right? The Creator is raising us in such a way that every state that we're going through is specifically directed for our development. And just like we would not let the children run the house, he is not letting us run the planet. So on the background, there are the laws of nature, which we can't get out of. And on the other hand, we feel like we can do whatever we want, just like kids run around in the house and think, oh, I can do whatever I want. Until such time comes that mom or dad says, listen, start behaving like a wild animal and relax. Okay. And same is done to us by life. We start running around thinking we can do whatever. Life is going to smack us with all kinds of personal and general events. So from, the COVID-19 to also any personal problems that we get in life as well. Why are we getting problems? So it's a sign that we're not actually balancing ourselves out properly. It's a sign, whenever we have a problem, it's a sign that I'm off track somewhere and I need to make a little adjustment. And this is how we grow. If we understand that little formula, then if we understand that, things are a lot more smoother for us, because we understand, plus or minus, we understand where we're kind of headed towards. Because if I understand that life's purpose is to get to being like the Creator. So I have to grow up like my parents in order to sustain myself and become independent. So the Creator wants us to become independent. So if I understand that that's the track and that's where we're going, and then I understand that I can take the advice of Kabbalists, just like we take the recommendation of our parents and teachers in school, right? They teach us stuff, so we take their recommendation. We don't argue with it. Why don't we argue with our parents and teachers when we take their recommendation towards life? Simply because we understand, because life is in front of us. With spirituality, it's a bit of a problem because it's against our nature. So I have to always go against my desire. So taking an advice from a Kabbalist is not as easy as having a chat with my parents and taking their advice. But that's just how it is. So if I understand I've got this direction, then I can actually take a lot of hints from life and overcome a lot of things without the suffering. And that's the beauty about the wisdom of Kabbalah. Because if I wasn't applying some kind of personal effort to like sneak around all of life's dramas in order to get to that place, then I'd get a lot more beating in life, like the people who live their corporeal life out there. And then I'd also be asking myself the same question all the time, like, why me? Right? Why me? So everyone's asking, well, why me? Well, why not? I mean, why are you special? Why not you? So the important thing here is learning life, and that's what the wisdom of Kabbalah is. If life's aim is to grow us up, to raise us, and if we understand that, then we can actually start working around with the material, with the group, with the text, and then we can start flowing with this river and understanding where I'm going, like a professional guy on a boat with his canoe in the water, or I'm just like half drowning and hitting every rock on the path and getting a bit hammered along the way. Why would the Creator want 6 million Jews in Germany feel so much pain if everything is happening within us? Well, that's also happening in us, but think of it this way as well. Why would the Creator let millions of people die of hunger, in all kinds of places in the world, right? So let's take a bit, we're in an integral situation right now, right? The whole world, all of us together. So let's take the whole world as one workshop, one place. So people may die in genocides in the hands of other people. You also had the same situation with Stalin, right? He killed about 20 million people. What about Mao in China? They must have killed at least that much too. I mean, they're always in competition, right? So who's going to kill a bit more? You got the same thing in all kinds of countries in Asia, Africa, and Cambodia, Pol Pot. So you get this everywhere, right? Why? Because we're in this integral world now. there's hate. And think about it, this is hate towards their own people. Imagine that. So like Mao killing his own Chinese people. This is like your people and you're like killing. So this phenomena of hate between humanity, even if we were all the same, right? Imagine all of us being the same, doesn't matter what. Imagine we were all the same color, same religion, same everything, right? Imagine one planet with one country and we're all the same. The next day we'll have a fight. We'll have a fight. It's not because human nature hasn't changed. So it's not going to help us. The only thing that's going to help us is understanding where we're going as humanity. And that's the only thing that's going to save us. So the Creator is, whether he's killing 6 million Jews in Germany or killing 20 million in the hands of Stalin or killing another 20 million in the hands of Mao or some other place in Africa, Asia, Middle East, it's the same thing, right? So Saddam Hussein killed a bunch of his own people. They all seem to kill their own people for some reason, okay? This is how it is. So the hate between man and man is what needs to be fixed. And if we don't understand that, the Creator is going to show it to us. How is he going to show it to us? Well, if that's suffering. Same with any war that we go through. What's war? War is a connection between us, but it's a bad connection. It's a bad connection between people. So what do we have to do? We have to fix that bad connection. If we don't fix it, it's going to get worse. Remember what they said about First World War, right? They said this was the war to end all wars because they suffered a lot, seemingly. So what happened after 20 years? We had World War II, then we had Korea, Vietnam, the Middle East. It's all over the world. It won't stop. It won't stop because man has not changed. So where will it stop? Until we get enough suffering, which accumulates in us, to say, you know what, that's enough. That's enough. So life will stop us as it's stopping us with COVID-19 right now. So we're all stuck home. Life isn't going, anywhere. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Jobs, food. We got natural disasters coming all over, right, left, and center. I hear there are a lot of food shortages in China, also probably in other places as well, also in the Middle East, Africa, Asia, a lot of places where there are food shortages. So things are getting hectic until we decide that we can no longer live like this. P.M.Meydan is asking, if the reality I'm perceiving is my inner state projected outward for me to work with, and everything outside of me is the Creator, and that's the same for all in part of the Creator. That, let me just read that again. If the reality I'm perceiving is my inner state projected outward for me to work with, and everything outside of me is the Creator, and that's the same for all, I'm part of the Creator that you're perceiving. That would be true if I felt that. But if I'm not feeling it, here, this is the dilemma that we have, right? There's the dilemma that how I feel reality. And the Kabbalists are saying, listen, this is how you feel reality, but the real reality is this. So this is the blurry point for a student of Kabbalah. On the one hand, I feel reality as it is. On the other hand, they explain to me that it's in a different way. So what am I going to do with that? I've got to reconcile them. And that's the dilemma. So from how I perceive reality, I have to get to what the true reality is. Now, how are we all going to attain it? Everybody attains everything from their own perspective, from their own truth, right? This is exactly what the article says as well. What I'm feeling is the truth. So if I feel that the whole of reality is working like clockwork based on a system called laws of nature, which is working on the attribute of bestowal, which is the creator and the creating force behind it, then I could say, yeah, you're right, everything is done by the creator, and I am just seeing the truth. So I'm the person who comes to the point of observing reality from a true state. Does that mean I'm doing anything? Well, that means that I haven't done anything except by going through all the states, or by being led to go through all the states. I come to a point where I observe reality from the point of truth rather than my previous state, which was a lie. Does that make sense? If not, let me know. I'll try to open it up as a bit more. Because whatever I'm doing in my vessel of reception. And I'm always going to be in my vessel of reception, but depends how I'm using my vessel of reception. So understanding that the creator is doing everything would be good if we were living that state. Then we could say, hey, everything is the creator. Even then, everything is the creator, but then you have the opportunity to act then from the point of truth, from your individual state, which makes the whole of creation rather special. Why? Because on the one hand, the creator did everything. On the other hand, I got to a point where I'm observing reality from his perspective, and that allows me now to contribute because I've grown up. If that makes sense. It's like children, right? I grow up, I understand how life is. Now, because of that understanding, I can do something which is a correct action. Otherwise, I'm not going to make sense of life. As I grow up, I begin to understand how to behave correctly in my reality. Same thing. As I grow up in the reality of the creator, I begin to understand how I participate in reality correctly. And that, from my perspective, that participation from my perspective, that is the me that becomes part of that reality. That's the individual me, the unique me in reality. So there is still the creator and the created being. But when we both look at reality as the creator and the created being from the same perspective, then I can contribute as the creator is contributing, or as the creator is acting in reality. And that is what makes everyone unique. This is why we're all so different from each other. Everybody's different. We all look different. We all feel different. We all see reality different. We all feel and perceive everything differently because we're all different, just like our faces, our thoughts, the way we feel. Even the same food, even if we ate the same food together, we'd get different sensations from it because we're different. So when everybody begins to see reality from the perspective of the creator, then begins to act in that reality like the creator, then everybody contributes with their individuality to reality. And that is what builds perfection. That's why everybody is important. That's why the whole of reality, with all the details, is so detailed. Right? Why have so many animals? Why have so many plants? Why have so many stars and planets and all these kind of details? Why? Why bother? Because reality is so detailed, and a person can actually attain all that richness in reality and actually participate in it. And that's what makes creation so special. The man, the created being, can actually participate in reality like the creator. And then we can say that was all the creator, right, until we got there. And now you can actually say, what am I going to do? Why? Because if I now understand how I can participate correctly in creation, then I'm kind of independent now, aren't I? Just like we grow up, we leave home, we become independent. but I know how to handle life. So now if I understand how to handle reality from the perspective of the Creator, then I've got the opportunity to actually do something independently, because I know how to exist in that reality according to those laws of nature, according to the laws of the Creator, or call it whatever you want to call it. And then I can say, yeah, the Creator did do everything, but now in my state where I'm at that level, I can do something. Just like kids grow up and they begin to do things independently. What comes first, intention or desire? Well, it's always the desire first, right? We always want something first. And then we think, oh, what am I going to do with this desire? It's always like that. So I have to have a desire. This is why we're born and created as a desire to receive. So all the time we want something. And as I grow up, I begin to evaluate, should I run after it or not? And that's the intention. But is the Creator that is taping into the dictators to kill? So I didn't understand that question, but is it the Creator that is taping into the direction to kill? Well, I don't understand what you mean by taping, right? But look.
Tapping
into the dictators to kill. Well, look, think of it this way, right? We're a desire to receive pleasure for ourselves. Okay, what exists in humanity that doesn't exist in animals and plants is we take pleasure from being on top of others. Right? We get pleasure by being better, right? There's a thing called competition in life. Everybody agrees? If I'm faster, stronger, smarter, I feel better. Right? That's competition. So if I'm on top of people, if I'm controlling them, even if it means to kill them, I feel good. It's human nature. Now, you may not feel that way, okay? But let's study the wisdom of Kabbalah a little bit more. You'll get all kinds of feelings inside you that will say, oh my God, I am like that. And this is exactly what the article is talking about. Because what I see as truth and what truth is completely different. So our human nature by default is bad. Creator did not create anything except bad. And we can actually look at the world and see that that's how it is. The guy could have created something great, and he decided to create something bad. If you think about it, it's logical, right? Because if, on the assumption that the Creator is perfect, he cannot create anything perfect or beyond perfect. So anything that's created has to be bad. So if I'm -1 degree from perfect, it's already bad. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So the Creator had to create evil, otherwise man could never build the good. So why are we all bad and have to be bad? Because if I don't understand bad, I cannot build good. I need to build the good. And the reason for this is that if the Creator is perfect, right, he built something out of non-existence, right? You guys read some of the books. The Creator created everything out of absence, right, from nothing. So he created out of nothing something bad. By creating he created something out of nothing. So by creating something out of nothing, he has a certain vision and understanding of that state. We, by creating out of nothing the good that doesn't exist in our world, go through the same process. So in life, there is nothing good. This world is bad, and we feel bad, and we feel it's going worse day to day, right? But by creating the good, which doesn't exist, out of nothing, we're actually duplicating the same action of the Creator. We're creating something out of nothing. That allows us to attain the thought of the Creator. Otherwise, we'd never go through the process, right? So this is actually why two opposite things need to happen. If we were all born in good, like that rich kid, right? Like rich, has everything, doesn't have to do anything in life, we'd never understand what life is about. We'd just be stupid. We'd be stupid. So for us to understand the thought of the Creator, we're actually duplicating everything, but from the other end. So he did it from top down, and we've got to do it from bottom up, but we're doing the same thing. We're creating something new out of absence, and that allows us to attain the Creator. So the whole process makes sense, actually, if you think about it. It makes sense why things have to be bad, because then I've got to build everything against everything bad. I've got to build the good. So this building from my side allows me to reconcile what is the right thing. It allows me to understand what the good is corresponding to this bad. And this is why we have to attain the reason for everything, which is spirituality first. Why? Because we don't understand what the good corresponding to the bad is. So a lot of people don't see themselves as bad. They see themselves as righteous most of the time. Okay? Why? Because we don't understand what good and bad is. So this lack of understanding is what's causing us a lot of pain and agony and suffering as humanity. But for a student of Kabbalah, it makes perfect sense that the world is bad. We feel it bad. But as we advance, then we begin to see that the bad has a purpose that aims a person to build the right thing. Then the Kabbalist says, the Creator is doing that for the good. Because if he hadn't done the bad, there's no way I'm going to build the contra for it, which is the good. Then I don't have any understanding about the Creator if I can't do that. So it allows us to build something out of nothing. Joseph's asking, would permanent faith be like seeing that the Creator is good within reason? Well, faith is the attribute of bestowal, right? So once you attain the attribute of bestowal, you understand that you can't do bad. You can't do bad. That's the understand. This is exactly why Kabbalists say, the Creator is doing good. Why? Because they understand that everything he's doing is towards a purpose. Once you understand the purpose and you understand that everything he's doing is for the purpose, then everything makes sense. It's like with kids, right? He's trying to stick his finger into the electricity plug. So I'm slapping his hand. And for him, it's like, well, why is Dad slapping my finger? I'm just touching the wall, right? For him, it's the wall. For me, it's 220 volts that are about to shock him to death. Okay? So I've got to slap him one. I've got to shout at him or whatever, because he doesn't understand my language either. So he can't speak at the moment. He doesn't know what he's doing. So I've got to give him a shock myself before the electricity does. So the Creator has to give us a bit of a shock as well. It makes common sense. It's just common sense, really. Spirituality is nothing mystical. It's all common sense. It's exactly how we raise kids. So if we look at ourselves as children rather than grown-up people thinking we know the world, it's a lot easier to advance in spirituality. Okay, so that brings us to 10 o'clock. Well, that was an hour that went pretty quickly, I must admit. Okay, so I hope you guys had a good evening. I certainly had a good evening. I love these lessons because it allows me to really, crunch the material. So, and it's really good to see you guys on the screen as well. Before it was a lonely job. Now I've got friends to do it with as well. So it's really good to have you guys on Zoom. Have a great evening. I'll see you all next time, hopefully. Bye-bye. Take care.